Am I the a-hole for refusing to financially support my parents and explaining why when my brother asked? I, 38 female, have been living in a different state from my family for over 10 years. I've supported myself the entire time and rarely asked anyone for help. I didn't grow up with my parents. My grandmother supported and raised me, and I never had a close relationship with them. Last year, I went on vacation with my siblings. During the trip, I found out that my youngest brother, 29 male, who makes the most money out of all of them, has been paying the mortgage and most of our parents' living expenses. He asked me why I wasn't helping financially. Since he asked directly, I answered honestly. I told him that our parents didn't support me growing up, and that I still remember when my grandmother asked me to write them a letter requesting financial support for my education. My mom wrote back to my grandmother saying she should teach me not to ask them for money, because what my dad earned was just enough for them and my 3 siblings. My grandmother let me read that letter, which I don't think my mom knows. I told my brother that I contributed financially when we immigrated and that I paid rent when I lived with them for 2 years. I also used whatever money I earned to help support my grandmother, who actually raised me until she passed away. After I moved to a different state, I've been completely on my own with zero financial help. Because of that history, I didn't feel responsible for supporting our parents now. Apparently, my brother told my mom. She confronted me via text and accused me of being disrespectful as a child. I explained my side and the experiences that shaped my feelings. She mentioned times she believes I was disrespectful, including verbal and physical conflicts. I explained that these incidents didn't happen in isolation and were often triggered by her actions, such as trying to persuade my grandmother to send me somewhere to dance for money, or deliberately ruining my school uniform by putting soy sauce on it. I told her she had not treated me like a mother should when I was growing up. The conversation didn't go well, and afterward my mom stopped talking to me. Eventually, the rest of my family did too. Now I'm basically no contact with all of them. I feel like I told the truth and set a reasonable boundary, but somehow I'm the one who ended up alone. Am I the a-hole for refusing to help financially and explaining my reasons when asked? Edit for info. 1. So just to clarify, my siblings paying most of my parents' mortgage isn't actually a hardship. The cost is split 3 ways between 2 brothers and 1 sister, and they all still live in my parents' home. I've never lived there and don't even have a room in that house, so I'm being asked to contribute to a household I was never part of. Their mortgage is under $2,000, which is cheaper than what most people pay for rent right now. My siblings divide that amount based on income. My brother pays the most, and the other 2 split the rest. They also split utilities and groceries. My parents also receive fixed income from Social Security, which they use to travel back and forth between 2 countries. They're not struggling. They simply want to keep their same lifestyle without adjusting their spending. I'm married, and we don't have kids yet. My husband and I set up our finances, so either one of us could cover all household expenses alone if necessary. That's intentional, so that if I get pregnant, I'd be able to stop working for a while without financial issues. My parents and siblings see that stability and assume it means I have extra money to give them, basically because my husband could support me. Realistically, they could sell their house and make a significant amount of money, which would easily support their retirement back in my home country. My siblings are in their late 20s and early 30s, so they're fully capable of moving out, renting their own places, and building their own independent lives if they wanted to. But that's not what they're choosing to do. Living together is simply cheaper for everyone involved, and it benefits all of them. That's their choice, but it doesn't mean I'm required to subsidize it. So no, I don't think I'm the a-hole in this situation, which is why it's confusing to be treated like I am. 2. Soy sauce was the most accessible thing for her to use, because it was one of our main seasonings at home. When I was a teenager, school meant everything to me. It was my escape, and the only path I saw toward a better future. Damaging my uniform wasn't random. It was the easiest and most effective way for her to hurt me. It was a big deal too, because I only had 1 uniform, which meant I had to hand wash it as soon as I got home, then let it air dry overnight, and wake up early in the morning to iron it. I basically had to hand wash it and dry it using an iron just to make it to school that day. Think of it like someone deliberately pouring red wine on a wedding dress. It's meant to destroy the one thing they know matters most to you. 3. Yes, during that time, going abroad to dance is often used as a cover to lure girls into trafficking. It's presented as legitimate work, but many end up exploited once they get there. I hope that helps clarify it. Not the a-hole. Perhaps it is normal in your culture to have parents abuse and neglect their children and guilt-trip them for as much as possible, after which the children are obligated to take care of their parents, while these parents should be working to take care of themselves and their future. But in other cultures, this is not the case. Adults are supposed to take care of themselves, of their own future, and of their children while they are minors and unable to take care of themselves. If I were in your shoes, I probably wouldn't mind all that much being shut out of a family that neglected me and now dares to have financial expectations of me. I've noticed even if a culture has that sort of obligation, the takers of the world, like OP's parents, never follow through on their end. I highly doubt they financially supported OP's grandparents, even though by their own logic they should be. I would just throw that back in their face. Now that you pointed that out, they made it my responsibility to financially support my grandmother because she was the one who raised me. I didn't mind, of course. I was more than willing to provide for her. But my mother didn't contribute, even though my grandmother is her mother. I didn't pay much attention to that at the time because I was simply happy to take care of my grandmother. Next story. Am I the a-hole for laughing about a pretend allergy? Parents gave up wanting responsibilities for the Thanksgiving meal about 5 years ago. My house is big enough to host, and I enjoy cooking, so for the past 3 years the duties have fallen to me. I make the turkey, the stuffing, mashed potatoes and gravy, and rolls. Others bring sides and things like chips and drinks. This year, my brother and his wife came into town early and stayed over. Thanksgiving mid-morning, my sister-in-law wandered into the kitchen while I was making stuffing. She saw my pile of breadcrumbs, celery, onion, and sausage in a bowl, and me sautéing mushrooms. She said, "What are those for?" I told her they were for the stuffing. She put her hands on her hips and said, freaking out, "You can't put mushrooms in the stuffing. I'm allergic." I was stupefied. I said, "When did this happen?" And she just looked at me like I was an idiot, so I said, "When did you discover you're allergic to mushrooms?" She scoffed and said, "I've always been allergic." Now the thing is, when I make my stuffing, I like things to be well incorporated, and I always chop the mushrooms small after I sauté them. So they're not actually apparent in the mix as mushrooms among the other ingredients. I burst out laughing and said, "Well, that's interesting, because you weren't allergic last year, and you weren't allergic the year before." She asked me what I meant, and I told her I'd been making stuffing like this every year she's eaten it, and furthermore she's raved over it and had zero allergic reaction. So maybe she's not allergic. Maybe she just thinks she doesn't like mushrooms. She got pissed and went to my brother to tell him, and she told him she wanted to leave, but he wanted to stay. So she spent the entire rest of the day shooting daggers at me with her eyes. They were supposed to stay through the weekend, but they left Thanksgiving night. I confided in my mom and my sister yesterday, and they kind of chuckled and said it's not my fault. But my brother texted me this morning that I could have just not used the mushrooms, and that I made his wife feel stupid for no reason. I maintain I didn't make her feel anything. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. She could just not eat the stuffing. And if she really believes she has an allergy, you ate this last year and the year before. Did you have an adverse reaction? Is important medical information, so you were right to tell her. If what she does with that information is feel stupid and throw fits, that's on her. She doesn't just eat the stuffing. Traditionally, she goes in for seconds, and then for a midnight snack covered with gravy. Not the a-hole, because no one with a food allergy should eat at someone else's house without disclosing that allergy. I have several food allergies, but only a couple cause anaphylactic reactions. I carry EpiPens and always disclose my allergies when accepting an invitation, basically saying I don't want to be a pain but I can't eat these 5 items, so if that's a problem let me know. That's why I don't understand that this is the 3rd year in a row, but the sister-in-law never mentioned an allergy? Because she's not allergic. She just probably doesn't like mushrooms and never knew she was eating them. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not paying my brother's taxes and not feeling guilty for traveling? I'm mid-40s disabled vet. I spent years bedridden, on Norcos and muscle relaxers, walking with a cane, doing PT. basically trying to rebuild myself for the sake of my children. Nobody in my family helped with anything. No money, no childcare, no lifting heavy water jugs, nothing. They pretty much pretended I didn't exist until I was back on my feet. Now that I'm finally off pain meds, able to walk without a cane, healthy enough to travel a little, suddenly I'm public enemy number 1. Because apparently me taking a vacation is destroying their family budget. My brother has lived with my parents his whole life with his 2 kids and takes up 3 bedrooms in their 4-bed, 2-bath paid-off house. 3 bedrooms. He pays around $600 a month for taxes and pays for groceries and utilities. A house that size in that area rents for like $2,600 to $3,200. So he's basically living in a 3-room suite for the cost of my car, plus insurance payment. But according to my mom, I'm the one not helping enough. She's telling every cousin and aunt that I should lower his portion to $450 or even $300 if my sister kicks in her share. So I guess I'm supposed to subsidize a grown man who works 10 days a month, smokes weed like he's training for the Olympics, and treats the casino like his second home? Make it make sense. Meanwhile, I'm out here paying over $3,750 a month for rent and every expense for my kids, and literally functioning like an actual adult. But apparently the real scandal is me going on vacation. My family basically wants me to be a disabled vet, single dad, part-time landlord, emotional support son, and walking ATM, all while shutting up and not traveling. Their justification? They say I should pay 25% of the taxes, $150 a month, because you're getting 25% of the house, your sister 25%, and your brother 50% because he's taking care of us. Retirement homes are expensive. Except, I know my brother is never moving out, and there's no way for me to rent out my quarter of the house. So that's not an inheritance. It's basically a lifetime subscription to subsidizing his lifestyle. No thanks. Not the a-hole. Also, you shouldn't be paying your 25% of taxes while your parents are alive and owning said house. Unless OP's name is on the title. Otherwise, the brother is going to inherit the house anyway because he needs it. At that point, is the inheritance even worth it? You can just say you don't want it. The peace of mind is worth so much more than the quarter of the house you may never see. That 25% will make no difference in your life. Unless your brother decides to sell the house for casino money, in which case he will be homeless and want to move in with you. He can actually force the sale once they receive the inheritance. There's no guarantee the parents won't decide to give the brother the house because he deserves it. OP can't ensure the home is maintained well. The time between the parents' deaths and forcing the home sale? How much damage could an angry brother do in that time? Not the a-hole. Time to get some therapy. Because this is a toxic family system and you owe it to your kids to not repeat the cycle. I have completed 3 years of mental health therapy, and my therapist told me to gray rock them and stay away. A psychiatrist says the family shows enmeshment, triangulation, favoritism, and all other toxic stuff. I'm currently in substance abuse therapy with a VA because I used to self-medicate via alcohol daily to cope. Now I am down to once a week 2 to 3 beers. I hope to be completely sober 2026. I'm grateful for the VA hospital because I wouldn't be able to afford this therapy on my own. Follow your therapist's advice and gray rock. You have no idea if you're going to get 25% of whatever is left. I don't think it's worth it. You're 100% right. And after yesterday's conversation with my brother, where I told him, I knew you'd do this. Expect me to pay taxes for a house I don't live in, and you don't plan on moving out. It's why I told our parents I don't want anything. I bet he will try convincing my mother to take me off the trust. 25% of the house would be $125,000. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not giving my sister the family nativity? So this actually happened a few years ago, but as I was decorating for Christmas, I began to wonder if I was the a-hole. My grandmother's hobby was making ceramics. She always had a beautiful set that she made before my sister or other siblings were born. When I married over 20 years prior to this interaction, I picked it up from her house and took it with me to my new home. One Christmas, a few years back, my sister and her husband were over at my house visiting my kids. My sister said she wanted to talk to me. Sister, Look, I think we should take turns with the nativity. It was the family nativity that grandmother made, and it's not fair that only you get to display it. I want to take it next year. Brother-in-law was nodding in agreement. Me, oh, I'm so sorry, but this is not the family nativity. It's mine. Brother-in-law, only because you took it before anyone else could say anything. Me, no, because it was mine. It was a Christmas gift for me. I picked up the manger part and showed them the bottom. It had the nickname my grandma called me and the date it was made, before my sister was born, engraved in it. Me, this was made as a Christmas gift for me. It was given to me. We only kept it at grandma's after you were born because, as a toddler, you grabbed one of the pieces and broke it. We just always kept it at grandma's for safety as you and the other siblings came along. When I left for college, I left it there and then took it when I got my own home. Sister, with great disappointment, I never saw that under the manger. I never knew. Me, I'm so sorry, sis. This was a Christmas gift to me. It was always mine. Grandma made it for me. She wrapped up each piece for me to open on Christmas morning before you were born. I'm sorry you didn't know that. Brother-in-law, well, I don't see why you can't just let us have it every other year. I think that's fair because everyone should get a chance with it. Me, no, it's mine. It was a Christmas gift to me. I'm sorry you thought it was for the family, but it was always mine. I'm so sorry you are disappointed, but this stays with me. Brother-in-law was obviously angry, but my sister was disappointed and she looked a bit sad. Today, as I was putting out the nativity, I started to feel a bit guilty. So was I the a-hole? Edit to add, since I see it coming up in the comments a lot. They have a nativity that brother-in-law inherited. It's an antique and valuable. Also, Grandma made things for each grandchild based on their interests at the time. My sister really loves Halloween, huge yard displays and all. So Grandma made this beautiful tabletop, stacking jack-o'-lantern sculpture that lights up. So she and all the siblings were given things that were lovingly made by Grandma just for them. Not the a-hole. I completely understand your sister's disappointment, but brother-in-law's annoyance and anger about it is kind of weird. Let's say you let them take it 1 year. Who's to say you'd get it back, or that something wouldn't happen to it? It's understandable to feel bad, but as you said, it's yours. Your name is on it and it was a gift to you. They can enjoy and appreciate it when they come to visit. Why do they feel the need to actually possess it? Especially brother-in-law. Like, what is it even to you, bro? Lol, that's so weird to me. Your brother-in-law sounds entitled, and I'm sorry you have to deal with him. My guess is that he's really the one who wanted it, since he pushed so hard and was angry even after your explanation. He probably got your sister all hyped up about the idea of the sharing thing, and is also most likely the reason she looked so sad and disappointed. He had her convinced it was half hers. This was a Christmas gift your grandmother made for you that they assumed they were entitled to. I think you already know who the real a-hole is. Hint, it's not you or your sister. I kind of thought the same thing. He inherited an antique and frankly a bit valuable nativity set from his own side of the family, so I really wasn't sure why it mattered so much to him. You won't get it back if you loan it out. Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of.